Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Weichelt for another episode of Weichelt Wednesday. Got our good buddy Rida Sharaif on the call, and I'll tell you what, it's really a pleasure seeing you again, and I appreciate your time. Let's dive right into it. Who's Rida?
Hey, thank you. Appreciate being on with you today. Rita is a servant leader. I've been in the real estate industry for a long time. Got started right out of college in California. Had a friend who worked in escrow, begged them for a job for 6 months. I was working as a teller at a bank and just, hating every single second of it and watching the mortgage broker get rich, by the way, and on the sidelines. But finally got that job and kind of worked my way through the escrow world in California specifically, which really exposes you to almost every section of a transaction, right? The lender, the termite, the buyer, the seller, the agents, all these things. So I felt it gave me a really, really great foundation to understand on the most basic levels how a real estate transaction works. From there, I had some opportunities to work with North American Title and actually Lennar, their company, the builder company that owns North American, to do some training things up in Northern California related to escrow, related to title. Became an escrow officer myself, and then actually got to know the owner of U.S. Real Estate Services and came over to work for him right in March of 2007, if that's a significant date for anyone.
That's you've got a quite a rap sheet. You're well traveled in the industry, no doubt. And '07 was certainly an interesting time for a lot of folks. So let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about U.S. Real Estate Services first.
Yeah. So at the time I was an escrow officer. I was doing fairly well, but I could see the writing on the wall. The industry was changing. The real estate market itself was changing. And I was introduced to the owner of U.S. Real Estate Services. We call it U.S. Res for short. It was a real estate financial services company, which was a little bit foreign to me coming from my background, just because I was more micro in the locality that I was in and doing transactions. US Res is a national company offering financial services, real estate financial services. So we offer valuations, inspections, field services, things of that nature, including full, what we call cradle to grave REO, the nicest name, but that's really what it is. So that's what we really specialize in. The end of this year is going to be 30 years that the company has been around. Of course, I haven't been here for that long, but yeah, it's a great company. It's a family owned and run company, and we really have used that as our guiding light in terms of how we conduct ourselves in the industry and with our customers. One of the most relevant statistics for me is that we've had some clients that have been with US for more than 17 years. And I feel a great weight of responsibility to continue these relationships that we have. So it's a very good company, been around for a long time, and had some really, really busy times during that 2007 to 2010, 2011. And we're still obviously around and doing things. REO and foreclosure is always part of real estate and what happens there, but certainly that was a extreme time.
Yeah. So I mean, they've been around a long time. They've got a great name. You're a great company and doing a lot of great things. Tell us about ResNet.
So ResNet, it's a really interesting story. So in the time that US Res had kind of evolved into this national real estate financial services company, they had built proprietary software to actually conduct their business, right? Some of it was case management, some of it was valuation. And in around 2002, 2003, a decision was made to enterprise that software, to make it its own company. And that is where ResNet was born. ResNet quickly became its own company and has over 500 different clients and vendors on there, not including real estate brokers and some other more concrete service providers, which number in the thousands. And now ResNet is composed of several different portals, we call them. The flagship being the REO portal, which is just a full ecosystem for REO property liquidation. And the interesting part as of recent is that we've seen that the cross section of assets going into the system now is not just REO. We've got a lot of investor properties and a lot of properties that are coming off of rental pools that are dropping out, a lot of maybe NPL advance back where they're actually taking control of the property and then taking it through. So we're seeing a really big cross section of clientele and different assets that are coming in. And so, we're really looking to kind of keep evolving with our clients, with our customers. We have a saying that we're the best cake maker. And so we're probably not going to make cupcakes. We're just going to try to make better cakes.
I love that.
And
That's
so
great.
we try to stay in the wheelhouse of what we're doing and evolve, like I said, with our customer base. So as things come up, we release global changes to the system that benefit everybody. And that's kind of the beauty of the system. So that's a little bit about, it's obviously very deep. There's a lot of layers to that type of case management platform, but it's very intuitive at the same time.
Well, you got a lot of stuff going on, and what I was thinking about it is because I'm familiar with ResNet. I'm a member. I've upgraded my account. I think that's an important thing to do. Shows your commitment to your industry. But there's a couple of different folks out there in the industry. Let's talk about the REO broker. We've got two different types. There's agents that were participating in the last market 12 plus years ago on a regular basis. Like you said, there's always going to be a foreclosures. There's always going to be that market. But when it's a real market where, like 6, 7, 8, 9 was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of assets being sold. But then there's the agent that maybe has been in the business less than 12 years. Let's speak to the agent that maybe was around the last REO market. What do we want to say to them? What's our message in terms of some of your products?
Well, I think the first message is that we need you. I feel like I want to kind of give an analogy. In our industry now, there definitely is a labor shortage, right, of the expertise that is required to manage this complex loss mitigation product, right? That's what REO asset management is. That's what short sale is. It's a loss mitigation function. And a lot of the people who had been around for so long before, it seemed like the 2007, 2008 crisis was kind of their last dance. And so there was a lot of drop off. And so just even from my perspective of having expertise in my office, I still have to, go and groom people and do all that stuff. And that same thing I feel is reflective in the real estate market as well. There's still these titans, let's call them, of REO real estate that are there, that have been there, they're going to be there, but there's other voids that need to be filled. And so, we talked about that at the REO Connect conference on one of the panels, is the importance of just being involved in the community of your business, of being curious about what's going on, being knowledgeable about what's going on, asking the right questions. And I feel like from that perspective, anybody who wasn't in the business 12 years ago should be doing all of those things. And I really do feel like ResNet facilitates a good ticket, let's say, right? A little ticket into the carnival. I don't want to call it a carnival, but you know what I mean. To get you in, because within the gates of ResNet, you have potential clients, you have potential orders to test out your knowledge and experience. We're going to release actually this week certification and recertification courses, which are going to be powered by not only US Res, the service company, but other clients on the system, where they're going to put things out there on the system for the agent to go actually take a course and become certified and have a little checkbox by their name or a little insignia that says, I know what I'm doing because I took this course. This is going to be a huge thing. I think, agent selection is probably of importance when we're talking about, specifically from the broker side of like, what am I doing to separate myself from the pack that I'm going to be able to be chosen. In the REO platform specifically, the user, and by user we'll just say the client, the person who's in a position to give listings, they're looking at your profile. They're looking at, how complete your profile is, what your experience is. And then, just like I said, is it like, hey, are you certified in these areas? Do you understand how the systems work? These are all very important because, again, we're trying to do a lot with a little. And all the help is very, very much appreciated. And I think, at the REO Connect conference specifically, I met more than a few newcomers to the real estate industry, or the REO real estate business, that were very, very sharp, very, very committed, and already, had their head on a swivel of what's going on. So it seems like we're going to be okay, but I definitely would ring the bell a little bit more.
You've covered some great stuff. We talked about US Res. We talked about ResNet. Like I mentioned, I'm a member of ResNet, and I've actually started in the REO business in the 90s. And I lovingly call it the glue stick era. We'd go out, take photos of a home, rush to the 1 hour photo, come back to the office, type up our BPO, glue stick the photos onto the addendum, and literally a thick package would be FedExed out to the client. Fast forward, we've got some better technology than we did then. And it's just interesting how it just becomes more and more streamlined. So I appreciate you bringing a lot of those things up. What's our message to the agent that maybe that wants to get into the REO space, that wants to service banks, that wants to be a corporate seller of property? What's the message to them?
I think I have to go back to just get involved. Get involved. I don't want to mislead anybody and say, hey, it's going to be easy. You have to get in there to make relationships. And as a real estate agent, I've always kind of looked at real estate agents' job as primarily a marketer and promoter of a commodity, right? Which is the real estate, the underlying real estate. But primarily you need to promote and be this walking marketer of yourself, of what you can do, what you've done for your community, your experiences. And I think this is one of the most important things is, I'm the type of person that really, really hones in on like a specific geographical competency, right? And you tell me about the neighborhood, you tell me about why it's going up or down, tell me about the new stores that are coming in and the school. Those are the things that prove to me that you really know your business. And I think that really stands out in asset managers' minds, because they're tasked with liquidating these things, all these variables on this asset, and they're looking to you to give them that info.
And I noticed that it's boots on the ground, being the expert in your market. For example, I have a lot of asset managers that ask me, because there's always changing codes like city and county ordinances on vacant and or abandoned properties and how it relates to the foreclosure process. So that an agent needs to really understand their market, because you, as the asset manager and asset management company, rely on those agents to be those eyes and ears, boots on the ground. So great information. So Rida, I tell you, this has been fantastic. We could probably go on for hours. There's so many things we could talk about, and we'll certainly follow up and maybe go into some of the stories that we've seen on some different REO properties. US Res, ResNet, great product. Reach out. And other than that, anything else you'd like to say before we let these folks get back to work?
I really just appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here and speak to your valuable audience. Like I said, come on in, get involved, and let's do some work together and get some money.
Let's go sell some real estate. Well, yeah. For Rida Sharaif, this is Robert Weichelt. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Weichelt Wednesday.